Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Emerging Leaders Award to Mr. Kenneth Cole. A group of individuals nominated Mr. Cole for his extraordinary impact on our community and especially the young future leaders of our community. The first Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Humanitarian Award was presented in 1974. This award is given to individuals in the Madison community who have made outstanding and significant contributions in the spirit of brotherhood, sisterhood, siblinghood, and harmony with the goal of making our city a great place to live. Dr. King's inspiration is needed today as never before. When wars drag on across the world, when immigrant rights are under attack in the United States, when voting rights are under attack in the state of Wisconsin, and when unequal justice is still a daily occurrence in the city of Madison. We must be vigilant. And we must, as a community, back our young leaders as they forge a new path of justice. The man we honor today was born and raised in Watts, California. The son and grandson of faith leaders, Mr. Cole uses the values he learned to exemplify Dr. King's nonviolent philosophy in seeking to defeat injustice. Mr. Cole came to the UW-Madison as a Posse Scholar in 2012 and served in many leadership roles on campus. Mr. Cole's impact on campus culture for students of color have been extensive. He founded and participated in the Black Out movement and Blindside campaigns on campus, which endeavored to bring access, inclusion, and equity to socially and economically underrepresented students. Because of these efforts, Mr. Cole was able to secure $1.2 million in campus funding for culturally responsive mental health services for students of color. That's an accomplishment. Mr. Cole also advanced implementation of cultural competency courses for all UW-Madison first years. His activism encouraged a number of other candidates of color to run for student government, to represent and move forward the needs of underrepresented groups. Mr. Cole earned his Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology in 2018 and has continued his service to the community by working with youth. His passion to provide youth the tools and skills that they need to become engaged members of their community has been the focus of his work. Mr. Cole's work with teen and youth programming with the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, Sherman Middle School, and the Urban League of Greater Madison has provided the youth of our community paths into and enthusiasm for leadership and civic engagement. What better work to do for our community? His ability to use dialogue to seek understanding and alliance has allowed him to leverage partnerships to address some of the realities faced by marginalized groups when interacting with law enforcement. Working with the Zeidler Center for Public Discussion and the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, he created a partnership that allowed 15 African American teens paid opportunities as committee members to provide dialogue and actionable feedback to law enforcement on interactions with youth in the Black community. Mr. Cole's commitment to collaboration, nonviolence, and civic engagement, especially for future leaders of color in this community, set him apart from the other nominees for this year's Emerging Leaders Award recipient. Thank you, Mr. Cole, for your commitment, your drive, and passion. Your contributions to our community are invaluable, and we look forward to watching your continued success in advancing the work started by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Kenneth Cole on receiving this honor.
So there is a West African proverb that means the power to make happen or the power to make something be done. And it is spoken as Ashe. And we used it very often in our protests on the UW-Madison campus. And so when I say Ashe, if you will do me the pleasure and honor of repeating after me, power. Ashe. Power. Ashe. Power. Ashe. Power. Amen. So as you heard, my name is Kenneth Robert Cole. I'm originally from Watts, California, South Central Los Angeles, a place where we grew up with many of our own struggles. It didn't always feel like we had a lot of options. And very often it seemed like, in terms of community, we had up to 3 choices. You could either be a Crip, or a Blood, or a Christian. And fortunately for me, my family, my mother and father, were always active members of the ministry. And so for me, it was 9100 South Hooper Avenue, otherwise known as Crusaders Temple Church of God in Christ. Every Sunday, I was at morning and evening worship. Every Tuesday, I was at choir rehearsal. Every Wednesday, I was at midweek Bible study. And every 3rd Saturday of the month, when I was younger, I remember something special. I recall attending my first prayer breakfast hosted by the men's department at my church. As we walked into the fellowship hall, the smell of hot eggs and bacon permeated the room. And although I was extremely hungry and could not wait to eat, I decided to do what I was told. We set up tables. I began pouring cups of orange juice and apple juice. And then I finally made my first plate and handed it to a homeless man. One of the many who were there in attendance that day for a hot meal. We talked, we laughed, we fellowshipped, and then we ultimately culminated in prayer and sent them back out into the community. It was that day that I learned that service in church had more than one meaning. It was that day that I learned that it is our duty to bring space, community, and resources to those who our society has left out. I believe that if the late great brother, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were here today, he would tell us that anyone can serve. For even a child as young as 5 or 6 or 7, if they lend their hands, they can serve. And even a man or a woman living paycheck to paycheck, if they lend their time and goodwill, they can serve. I'm super honored to be before you today, receiving this award. And I don't want to just tell you that a child or a man can serve. I want you to know that you too can serve. And not only can you serve, but your service matters. Every step that we take forward in the name of service for humanity is a step that ultimately tips the balancing scale of the universe in the direction of justice. And I believe that if Dr. King were here today, he would tell us that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it does bend towards justice. And so I want to tell you that your service matters, because especially even in this time where it may feel like the opposite, especially under the current U.S. administration, we may feel like the arc of the moral universe is wavering a little bit on the other side. But that's why I want to tell you that, especially here in the state of Wisconsin, your vote matters. We each have an active role to play and duty and civic engagement for the change that we want to see in this world. And I want to take this time to thank the King Coalition for considering me and accepting me on this behalf. I want to thank the people who nominated me. I want to thank every single lovely face in this audience tonight. And I want to thank God for ordering my steps to be here in front of you today and for giving me the voice with which I speak. And so with that, I want to tell you that your voice matters. I wouldn't be a real rapper if I didn't tell you that I do music. And so I'm excited to announce to you that at the top of the next month, the 1st of February, the first day of Black History Month in the year of 2020, I will be releasing my first music video of 2020. The title of the song is Be Excellent, spelled with a period, a B and a period, because the B stands for Black. And so with that, I am super honored and excited and thrilled and happy to receive this award. Thank you all, and God bless you, Madison, Wisconsin.